Hello everyone and welcome back to the fifth and final weekend of the 24-25 Optegra Championship, the final game of the day as we get ready for Teesside Steel versus West Bromwich Albion Dudley. For Teesside, it's a key fixture in their push for that third place, and with it a shot at promotion via that Premiership playoff scheduled for Saturday, June the 14th. For West Bromwich Albion Dudley, it's a chance to close their campaign with a strong performance as they can have a say on how the top of the table finishes. Before we kick off, we would like to acknowledge the continued support of our title sponsors, Optegra, one of the UK's leading eye healthcare specialists, providing advanced treatments including cataract surgery, lens replacements and laser vision correction. Their work helps people see more clearly and live more independently, and their support of this season's National League reflects the same belief in access, ability and ambition. This season, Optegra's backing has helped raise the profile of power chair football, supporting the increasing quality and competitiveness of the league, and they've played a vital role in growing awareness of the sport across the wider community. I'm delighted to be joined on commentary for this final game of the day by WFA chairperson Dean Williams. How are you?
Hello Ryan, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, hello everybody as well. And can I butt in there very quickly before you start on the teams?
Of course you can.
I want to thank the community once again for the lovely warm welcome I've had, and the duty of care, and everyone asking me about how I'm recovering after the cycle challenge. I think I've gone into that conversation probably about 20 times today. That's not a criticism, it means an awful lot. So thank you so much as always for taking that duty of care and asking me about my experiences of it. That means a lot.
If anyone wants more details on the Good Road to Derby, its creation, its inception, its execution and everything in between, encourage you to go and listen to episodes 24 and 25 of the 2-on-1 Power Chair Football podcast, powered by MK Battery. We sat down for about an hour or so in the week to talk about the highs, the lows, the challenges, and what a memorable finish it was.
Cathartic that was, Ryan.
Very much so. But let's go through the squads here. Teesside Steel versus Dudley. Should be a fantastic game. Teesside Steel have Charlie Connolly, Jamil Khan, Thomas Met, Owen Swift, Luke Heenan and Oscar Mulgrew. Their challengers. West Bromwich Albion Dudley comprised of the following: Amy Sherman, Lewis Marshall, Jack Ebanks, Laura Evans, Kean Collins, Noah Harvey and Jack Westmoreland. Teesside Steel coming into this on what I believe is a 15 or 16 unbeaten run. Truly unprecedented when we're referencing the level of competition in the championship. To go that long, I don't think they've suffered defeat since October, and
that was their only defeat.
When you consider that, it is beyond impressive.
Yeah.
Let's show you the live league standing so you can just get that full picture as to the placements and the significance of this result. Worth noting that Villa Rockets Lions, currently in that third place position, are kicking off against GBG Knights. So Teesside Steel will have an eye and an ear on potential outcomes over on Court B. They'll be hoping GBG Knights can summon a serious performance to put them back in the driving seat for that third place position, which of course, as already mentioned, results in a shot at Premiership status. But a win here would take Teesside Steel onto 41 points. Worth noting, when we're referencing Teesside Steel as being 15 games unbeaten, it puts the context of how impressive Villa Rockets Lions have been.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're quietly going about their business and currently have bragging rights and grasp of that third place playoff. They're obviously without Naglis Montvillas, who's played such a key role in them getting to this stage of the season, but take nothing away from any of their other players and or coaches. And hopefully the title race we're seeing at the top, the compelling nature is matched by this third place playoff. And as you can see from that table, how tight it is at the bottom, with either Nottingham Forest or Manchester City desperately trying to beat the drop or the jeopardy spot, so to speak. As it currently stands, still to be confirmed definitively, but AFC Bournemouth Warriors and currently Nottingham Forest, with the inferior goal difference, will be placed in a championship playoff type tournament scheduled to take place the same day as the Premiership playoff. As soon as the season's wrapped up, we will have them fixtures confirmed as soon as possible. But the race at the race at the bottom is just as compelling as the one at the top, with everything to be decided tomorrow afternoon.
And that could have been interesting. I was just watching the game between Bournemouth and Man United. Bournemouth 2-0 up. Had they have held on to that, that would have put them on, it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? 7
points. We did discuss it on the early games. Probably not enough to make up ground.
But with Man City to play.
With Man City to
Would have
play.
been interesting, wouldn't it?
It's compelling. It's intriguing. It is everything that I said at the top. Just how compelling and competitive it is from top to bottom. Nothing's a formality. Nothing's a given. And for that, we owe thanks to all of our partners and sponsors, because they play such a key role in us being able to deliver and facilitate this football. Teams just getting their final instructions. Players to watch. Oscar Mulgrew has been, for many, the standout player within the Championship division. As I have said on commentary for all of my other games today, at the conclusion of game week 5, we will do as we always do, conduct a team of the weekend poll, a player of the weekend poll, and the unsung hero of the weekend. That will be concluded, collated and announced on Monday lunchtime. And then Tuesday or Wednesday we will be opening up the end of season championship award voting, where we encourage you to vote for your overall championship player of the season, championship young player of the season, championship team of the season, championship head coach of the season, and championship fantasy team of the season. So a lot to look forward to. The award winners of that will of course be announced at our end of season awards, the sold out event at the King Power Stadium, which will be taking place the evening on Saturday, June the 14th, just after the Premiership and Championship playoffs.
One of my favourite nights, Ryan, that.
Should be very enjoyable. I can't say I enjoy it as much as you do. Working away to hopefully make it a success. I can't really switch off, but
I've got to prepare a speech.
That's the least you can do.
And that's always my pleasure as well. I promise I won't go on too long for those that are in attendance.
You're given a allotted allowance of maybe 6 or 7 minutes.
Is that it? Wow.
I haven't worked out.
How can I recap a season of all these achievements and brilliant football in 6-7 minutes?
You talk quickly, that's how. So, the coin flip has been conducted by Carolyn Goldsborough, who will be our central referee. Anyone wanting to tune in to Court B, GBG Knights versus Villa, Rockets Lions, Dylan Palmer is bringing the action live. Should there be any updates, scores or other over there, we will endeavour to bring you them here. But we have a really compelling game between Teesside Steel, the most informed side of the Championship division, against West Bromwich Albion Dudley, one who have improved as the season has gone on, and one I'm really excited to see next season, once they've got a full year of experience under their belt, a very different looking side than that finished the 23-24 campaign. So we're officially underway to go through the starting four. Isaac Murray, Jamil Khan, Thomas Met and Oscar Mulgrew. And for West Bromwich Albion Dudley, they have Laura Evans, they have Jack Ebanks, they have Jack Westmoreland, and they have Lewis Marshall. Owen Swift is representing Teesside Steel as a player for the first time in game week 5, and he made history earlier today, becoming only the second player to register a goal, a National League goal for 5 different clubs. So he joins Hannah Hindley with that impressive accolade.
Nice.
But what Hannah Hindley hasn't yet scored for Muscle Warriors, and knowing that Owen Swift had scored, Alan Murray put her on a penalty earlier, which she sadly missed.
No, I
So
didn't
they're
see
desperately
that.
trying to regain that impressive
Wow.
stat and fact, as Jamil Khan has got an indirect free kick into the side of Oscar Mulgrew, and as easy as that, within a minute, Oscar Mulgrew does what he does so effectively. He really has been a sensation this season. He's come to the fore in this Teesside team. And
interesting about that, Ryan. There's no over celebration. Job to do. Let's get on with it.
there is a professionalism, there's a ruthlessness about them that I have never seen before, and they're so calculated, they're so calm, and I have no doubt a lot of that comes from the wider Teesside hub and the expectations both around Teesside Steel and Teesside PFC in the Premiership.
Yeah.
And it's so good to see.
And maybe an element of, we talked about their impressive unbeaten run, but when you look at their stats, played 19, won 10, drawn 8. So there's the Achilles heel. We're going to be really picky.
Yep.
They need to finish a game off.
You have to pick up on those things in which they could potentially improve on if they're going to go on to challenge for Premiership placements.
And actually, the significance of that is borne out by Leeds Dynamos, who are 1 place behind, who have actually lost 8 games and are only 4 points behind.
I know.
So it's where they've dropped their points, isn't it? These draws.
Yeah, that is their Achilles heel. Again, I said about how impressive Villa have been, considering they've currently got a grasp of that 3rd place position. It further exemplifies how good GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors have been, leading the way at the top.
Yeah.
Almost faultless across the entirety of the season. I think as we've approached game weeks 4 and 5, they've faltered slightly, and that's relative compared to the unprecedented levels that they exhibited in game weeks 1, 2 and 3. But Thomas Met's going to be given an opportunity here, the poacher, as we've dubbed him in the past, and a nickname that he's very much taken to. Laura Evans, I want to say congratulations to her, recently called up to represent the Scotland development team at the Developmental Home Nations just a few weeks ago. England, of course, the senior team currently in Largs competing in the Senior Home Nations. We've got confirmation of their first result, a 4-1 victory over Northern Ireland this morning. Huge congratulations from us to Adam McAvoy, who led the side as head coach for the first time officially in a competitive tournament. Will be sharpening his tools for the upcoming EPFA Nations Cup, scheduled for September. As you can probably grasp, the roars of jubilation here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. We have had a goal on Court B. And from the looks of it, it's gone in the favour of GBG Knights.
No one from Muscle Warriors was cheering that.
No, they wasn't. So Oscar Mulgrew to take. Intrigued this season, both in the Premiership and the Championship, to see how those end of season award voting polls go, because as I said on a recent podcast episode, in seasons gone by, a lot of the awards were wrapped up after game week 3. You knew who was going to be the title favourite, who was the standout player. I wouldn't be able to place who will be the eventual winners of the player, the young player, the coach, the team, etc. Obviously, Oscar Mulgrew will be in contention. He's also eligible for the young player of the season due to us shifting the criteria ever so slightly to ensure that players aged 18 and under at the commencement of the respective season. So for the championship, it was the 7th of September. Oscar Mulgrew was 18 at that point, so he will be in contention for that.
Got a mature head for a...
Very much so, and I think that will almost shift people's understanding and voting process, because I don't want to take away from players such as David D or Oscar Smedley, who are just producing unprecedented levels for their age and levels of experience. But that's why I'm so intrigued to see how it goes. And GBG Knights, I think, have doubled their advantage on Court B. Slight break in play here. Still Teesside 1, West Bromwich Albion, Dudley 0. Oscar Mulgrew, the goal scorer, almost a carbon copy. Here, Jamil Khan, indirect free kick into Oscar Mulgrew. Saved by West Bromwich Albion Dudley. There's confirmation on your screens of that scoreline on Court B. GBG Knights bouncing back brilliantly from disappointing defeat this morning to Sale United. Sale United were just sensational. They were so good, and I have such a soft spot for them because I've seen the difficulty they've had in years gone by with points deductions and player setbacks, but they've taken all their adversity and channeled it in the right way, and now there's a serious team there competing against the very best in the championship. As Jack Westmoreland feeds it to Jack Ebanks, flag raised by Dave Morris, the assistant referee on this right hand side. Jamil Khan was reversed into, so will be given the free kick. Into the centre, swept up by Jack Westmoreland, who's present in the team of the weekend for game week 4 of the championship, as was Oscar Mulgrew and Jamil Khan, I believe. Thank you to all that are tuning in. I've seen your comment, Rich. When you say the final, are you referring to the final day of the championship? If so, you are welcome to attend. Thomas Met makes a little bit of contact with Jack Westmoreland, who advances from his court all the way deep into the Teesside Steel's half. If this weekend wasn't enough to get your Power Chair football fix, you have just 7 days to wait for the 5th and final weekend of the 24-25 Optegra Premiership. And then from that, a few weeks to wait for the first iteration of the Power Chair Football Club World Cup, which rolls almost immediately into the FA Disability Cup, the John Good Group WFA Cup final on Sunday, June 29th. So plenty of football to look forward to. And then before we know it, the 25-26 season will be upon us. No rest for the wicked, eh, Dean?
Not at all. People often, if they don't really understand the administration that sits behind football, will often ask that you get a break after next weekend. As we both know, that is definitely not the case. In fact, you'd argue it's the opposite.
It is the opposite, because when competition ceases, as there's a brilliant save there from Oscar Mulgrew, not only is he so influential in attack, provides so much stability at the back. But as I was going to go on to say, as competition ceases, planning for the new season and new strategy, new initiatives come to the fore. So, if anything, they're almost busier. We're almost more divided when football isn't taking place, because that's when we can really innovate and put plans to action.
And it's about being even better the following season round. That's what we owe. We expect the players to keep raising their game, and that's exactly the same for us.
It will be a challenge for us to see an improvement of this season next. The levels of football, and it's not a cliche, I promise you that the levels of football both in the Premiership and Championship are the best I've ever seen. The levels of competitions, the individual players, which are of course complemented by the regional leagues, the WFA Cup, the England talent pathway, fully thriving from top to bottom. As Dudley have certainly grown in confidence, the later this first half has gone on, it's still just a 1-goal margin that separates the two sides. Had a substitute whilst we was talking. Jack Ebanks off, Kean Collins on. Jack Westmoreland to take into the box. Over to Kean Collins. It reached its intended target, but he couldn't quite get the angle to force an effort goal bound. Good closing from Oscar Mulgrew. Slightly forced. Just going to want to try and slow the pace down slightly. Dudley growing in confidence.
I think the last few minutes, Ryan, a bit of a test this for Teesside, because we talked about the amount of draws that they've had. They've had to dig in there a little bit, and that's perhaps, I haven't seen all their games, but perhaps that's where that's gone wrong before. They've conceded a goal. And
I think they're just such a front foot attacking team that they sometimes have lacked that little bit of pragmatism. But I certainly won't complain, because the football they've produced in attacking phases of play has been awe-inspiring at times. But relatively speaking, it's still a young side competing in our National League. I think they only really came into the National League at the start of last season, and the developments they've shown across the last 12-18 months as Jamil Khan swipes it goal bound. Any Dudley pressure and or success has been thwarted. This time a reverse of the earlier goal. Oscar Mulgrew with the assist. Jamil Khan just swiping it past Laura Evans. Fantastic work. And that combination between those two players has been the absolute core of their success this season. Teesside Steel 2, West Bromwich Albion Dudley 0. Straight away on the front foot, trying to inflict further damage on their opponents. Thomas Met trying to dispossess Jack Westmoreland. A play I've really enjoyed watching in that central role. Seven goals and 8 assists for Jack Westmoreland. Really promising numbers. But all of their players, I believe, have contributed, whether that's goal scoring or goal creation. So they share the responsibility up top. When you're looking at player totals, assists and or goal scoring in the Championship division, you have to look at Oscar Mulgrew, who will have an eye on potentially getting that top goal scorer award. Should he get 3 more across the weekend, he will match George Holloway, assuming George Holloway doesn't secure any more strikes. But it'll be in the back of his mind. And then goal creation, Jamil Khan and Oscar Mulgrew both on 14 assists, behind Oscar Smedley on 18, so still very much in reach. But Oscar Mulgrew, 19 goals and 14 assists.
That's pretty impressive.
Impressive is probably very much an understatement. We've had a substitute for Teesside Steel. Thomas Met off, Charlie Connolly on. something that I've spoken about before, and I'll say again now. The thing that's really impressed me with Teesside Steel is the levels across their entire squad. I think it wouldn't be unfair to say they have a core starting lineup of Isaac Murray, Oscar Mulgrew, Jamil Khan and Thomas Met, but the levels of Luke Heenan and Charlie Connolly have meant that competition for places is so much higher, which has in turn raised the standards of the starting four and given Coach Graham Mulgrew a real selection headache. And adding Owen Swift and his quality and his experience to this relatively inexperienced side could be the key that unlocks their potential ahead of a potential playoff. And obviously Villa Rockets Lions 2-0 down on court B means that third place is back in the hands of the Northeast Teesside. We'll bring you the league standings, the live league standings at the half-time break, just 3.5 minutes away, so you can see how this result and the one on court B impact the overall table. But either way, there's, as you commented following Teesside Steel's first goal, there's just a steeliness, no pun intended, from this side.
There's a spirit as well, isn't there? I think if we think about what we see on socials as well, Ryan, they look very together, don't they? Very united.
They
very
are
together.
Both, not just socials, but in person.
Yeah.
Isaac Murray and Jamil Khan contribute a lot to the commentary. They're a real duo on and off the court, and that chemistry and that togetherness really comes out when they're playing in games such as this. Like that spell of Dudley pressure could have changed the game completely, and had Jackie Banks scored that goal as brilliantly saved by Oscar Mulgrew, we've got a very different game on our hands. But 2.5 minutes before the break, Teesside 2 goals up. Oscar Mulgrew once again showing why he's considered as one of the best players in the Championship division. Likewise with Jamil Khan. It's one of the reasons I brought in the Unsung Hero of the Weekend award, because there's players such as Isaac Murray who go under the radar. They don't get the headlines, they're not amongst the goals or the assists, but are so fundamental to how teams operate. And he's such a quiet operator, but is so crucial to the success you're seeing from Teesside Steel. Brilliant pass over to Jack Westmoreland, fired high into that left-hand post. Really nice opportunity there. Good accuracy initially from Keane Collins to pick out Jack Westmoreland. Lewis Marshall acted as a really nice screen with his back to put the ball. Due to the height, a set ball will resume play. Contested between Oscar Mulgrew and Jack Westmoreland. Keane Collins does well to vacate the space. Will have to take up his position in the centre due to Lewis Marshall being on the left.
They've had their moments, haven't they?
They certainly have. I mean, they must really thrive from this guidance and leadership of Matt Gilbert and Dave Lewis, their designated coaches. Two of the country's best players. He was on commentary alongside me for West Bromwich Albion versus Villa in the semi-final of the John Cougar WFA Cup, And you know how much of a fan I am of Matt Gilbert.
Yeah.
Another unsung hero. An unsung hero that's often amongst the goals and the assists, but when you're competing against some of the best players in the world that West Brom have, he often gets overlooked, but one that is so crucial to how they play. Charlie Connolly tries to cut across very close to Jamil Khan, surely a 2-on-1 in favour of Dudley, and that's exactly what's awarded by Carolyn Goldsborough as we tick over into additional time. Few stoppages, to be fair. Nice open, free-flowing attacking football from both. It's Teesside Steel that looks like they'll be taking a 2-goal buffer into that break as Caroline Goldsborough looks at her watch. Whistle in the mouth. And that concludes proceedings in this first half. Teesside still 2, West Bromwich Albion, Dudley nil. It was a Jamil Khan indirect free kick fired into the side of Oscar Mulgrew, which gave them the lead within a minute or so. Dudley grew in stature and confidence, had a few opportunities of their own before Teesside doubled their lead. A reverse of the earlier goal, this time Oscar Mulgrew providing for Jamil Khan. I said I'd bring up the live league standings for your reference at the halftime break. I'll do that quickly before myself and Dean have a quick break. But as you can see, Teesside still now back up to third with a 2-point buffer over Villa Rockets Lions, currently 2-0 down against GBG Knights on Court B. There's still a 5-gap margin between GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors, so barring Muscle Warriors dropping points tomorrow, it looks as if the trophy will be in their hands, but anything is possible, and worth noting the two are set to meet, so they need Muscle Warriors to drop points in their game tomorrow against Manchester United first up 9:15. I will be calling the action of that one, and if they get 3 points in that, the title will be going to Watford.
And Man U, as we both know, you look at their goal difference and it's completely level, so they have that potential to keep things very tight and then nick something as well. So there'll be a lot of people from GBG Knights that will be hoping that's the case. But what a dramatic start to the day that could be.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're probably gathering from just what we're saying and how compelling it is. No matter where you look in this championship division, from top to bottom, there's stories, there's competition, there's quality, and it's absolutely amazing. We're here for every second of it. Thank you to all that are tuning in, to myself and Dean. We will be back very shortly for the second half of this game between Teesside Steel and West Bromwich Albion Dudley. Hello everyone and welcome back to the final half of football on Saturday's round of games in game week 5 of the 24-25 Optegra Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, alongside WFA chairperson Dean Williams for Teesside Steel versus West Bromwich Albion Dudley, currently separated by 2 Teesside Steel strikes. Great half of football. I think the score line probably flattering for Teesside Steel. West Bromwich Albion Dudley definitely had their success, but something we called for is Teesside Steel just being a little bit pragmatic and protecting leads and advantages when they had them, just due to that sheer accumulation of draws, which prior to this game saw Villa Rockets Lions be in the driving seat for that third place playoff position, but they've answered any doubters in the opening 20. They absorbed the pressure and then capitalised when they had the opportunities. One thing I'm very happy about is to see that Owen Swift has been brought on in that half-time break in place of Charlie Connolly. Once again, a huge congratulations to him, playing his first ever day with Teesside Steel. Obviously very affiliated, intrinsically linked with the wider club, but his first time playing competitively with Teesside Steel, and he did register a goal earlier today in their fixture against Manchester City. So he made history, becoming only the second ever player in the National League's history to register a goal for 5 different clubs: Teesside, Teesside Steel, Bolton Bullets, Middlesbrough and Percy Headley Panthers.
I did speak to him, saw him earlier on when he was making his way down to the Lee Westwood Centre, and I said, how are you feeling? He said, I'm really nervous, Dean. I haven't trained for a long time. I just told him simply, class is permanent. He seems to like that. And then he's demonstrated by scoring that goal.
And he is a class player. He contributes so much, whether that's coaching, whether that's commentating, whether that's playing. He's a real gem of the power chair football community. So I do like it when he's has success, but he has a dilemma. Should Teesside Steel get that third place playoff and beat whoever finishes 10th in the Premiership, he will have to vacate his coaching responsibility with Teesside in the Premiership, or his playing time with Teesside Steel in the Premiership as well, in that hypothetical situation. But he just takes it as it comes, and he definitely looks like he's enjoying it. He's got a huge smile on his face, and we've spoken about the togetherness of this group, the chemistry, the camaraderie. He fits right into that mould, so no doubt adds to an already energetic, brilliant group who are putting the pressure on Dudley early in his second. Confirmation of that scoreline on Court B, now 3-0 to GBG Knights. So assuming Teesside Steel can maintain this 2-goal scoreline or better, they will end the day favourites for that third place playoff position. Tomorrow they have fixtures against AFC Bournemouth Warriors and Hull and East Yorkshire. So relatively speaking, just based on referencing the standings alone, you have to say that's more favourable than that of Villa Rockets, who have some tough fixtures to contest tomorrow against Hull and East Yorkshire and Leeds Dynamos. Just noticed the substitute of Noah Harvey's Oscar Mulgrew fires an effort goal bound very square into the front bumper of Jack Westmoreland, who read it brilliantly. Let's just bring confirmation of that Noah Harvey substitution in place of Kean Collins. Jamil Khan with a rare miss hit. Swing and a miss. Laura Evans has to be careful. Oscar Moguls there to close the gap down. Does well to win his side, the kick in. Owen Swift rooted to this bottom hand corner, and he tries to squeeze the ball between Laura Evans and that left hand post. You can see exactly what he was trying, and had he connected ever so slightly cleaner, it would have been the third goal of the game. This is when they have to be alert. Isaac Murray isolated for large percentages, keeping concentration and alertness for any potential advancements of Dudley. Jamil Khan to take. Just under 26 minutes played. Down to Owen Swift, who switches wings. Little pick off into the centre. Intercepted by Jack Westmoreland. So George Holloway, one of the goal scorers in GBG Knight's current 3-0 scoreline. So he's trying his best to safeguard his position as the league's top goal scorer. I think that's his 22nd of the season. Laura Evans desperately trying to restrict the advancement of Owen Swift. Let's run across his chair, attempts an effort, ricochets off the right hand post via a Jack Westmoreland deflection. He's some character, Owen Swift, isn't he?
He is indeed. I think he fancies himself as a comedian, and actually he is, isn't he? Very funny chap.
Just plays into what I was saying earlier about his character just fitting seamlessly into this side. The opportunity to be the creator here. Oscar Mogul waiting at that back post, primed to strike as he fires into it. Over to Jamil Khan. Oscar Mogul, I think, was caught in two minds as to how to best engage that. That moment's hesitation allowed Lewis Marshall and Laura Evans just to set themselves defensively, so good work from them. Either way, every time they have an attacking set piece, they look a real threat.
Let's look at this intriguing battle for third, Ryan, the significance on that. Hull and East Yorkshire play a big part in this tomorrow, you know. They play both of them.
I've had the pleasure of watching both Hull and East Yorkshire games today, and I have been so impressed with them, it must be said. I mean, they opened with a 2-1 victory over Nottingham Forest, playing some beautiful football, and whilst at face value you look at their second game, a 5-1 defeat to Leeds Dynamos, without context you think very one-sided, very dominant for the Leeds Dynamo side. For me, that's just not how it played out. Really impressed. I am seeing improvements in their tactical awareness, in their positioning, in their utilisation of their player skill sets. And Kai Gill, for me, has been the player of the day. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Anyone that gets a second, Nottingham Forest versus Hull and East Yorkshire this morning, the assist from Kai Gill to Luke Brennan, significant for many different reasons, most notably because it secured them the 3 points in what was a 6-point affair at the bottom, but also that assist, which was just the most beautiful, inch-perfect driven pass down this right-hand wing, assisted Luke Brennan to become Hull and East Yorkshire's leading all-time scorer with 50 goals. So 6 points, not 6 points, but in a 6-pointer fixture, It secured them the win. It secured Luke Brennan the title of the top ever goal scorer for Hull and East Yorkshire, and it was one of the best assists you're ever likely to see. So very impressed, and a goal he scored against Leeds Dynamo, nothing more than a consolation, but again just shows his confidence is growing game after game as he looks to take on the responsibility vacated by Cole Simpson, who was such a long time player of Hull and East Yorkshire, was so central to their success over the last few years. But now a lot of the other players are picking up the mantra and the responsibilities, Kai Gill most notably, and yeah, they will have a part to play tomorrow, and it is not an automatic 3 points against them, I promise you. They are a hard team to break down, and the reason that scoreline was so significant in the favour of Leeds Dynamos is because they didn't sit back. They looked to inflict damage and have success of their own, so there was of course vulnerabilities and gaps in behind, but that shows a team that is brave, that is trying to change their fate, and whilst they're probably the favourites in that pack to escape that relegation fight or that championship playoff process, it doesn't mean that they're looking to rest on their laurels. They're looking to secure further points to further safeguard their status as a championship side.
Well done, Luke. I shall watch that back. I've not seen the
Please do
the
so.
pass.
It was incredible. I was almost lost for words. And when you watch it, imagine me positioned where I am sitting right now, and the view that I had,
nice.
and the view it afforded me. You could see how close it was to being intercepted. But Kai Gill, such an incredible trailblazer when it comes to power chair football, from marketing, partnerships, communications. The fact that he's doing that, being one of the top players in the championship as well, shows how much of a credit to the sport he is. In this one, Dudley edging their way up ever so slightly. It's Noah Harvey's going to have an attempt on goal. Isaac Murray hasn't had a great deal to do in the 32 or so minutes we've played, but has to remain alert.
Did you say a few moments ago Ryan Sipple was lost for words?
I've had been tongue-tied a few times today with trying to get my thoughts out. I'm running on caffeine today.
For those that know you, you may have been celebrating a little bit too much this week. Since Wednesday night, I'll let other people draw their conclusions.
Well, I've dropped it a few times as to my attire today and how many Manchester United fans have approached me, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay, I think that gives it away.
Oscar Mulgrew just cutting out Lewis Marshall there. One thing Teesside still aren't really effective at, whilst they've got several draws to their name, they still have 14 clean sheets from their 20 games. So
that's incredible.
Not only are they free scoring in attack, average of 2.2 goals per game, they're doing it from a real position of strength as they make a substitute. Jamil Khan coming off, Luke Keenan coming on for the first time this fixture. Noah Harvey, back to Lewis Marshall. So George Holloway on 22 league goals, leading the way at the top. Oscar Mulgrew on 19. When we was referencing the end of season awards and the voting process that goes behind that, obviously the top goal scorer and the newly introduced Playmaker Award, acknowledging the top assist provider of both the Premiership and Championship, they're to be decided tomorrow in the Championship and next Sunday in the Premiership. So if and where possible, players will have aspirations of wrapping up those accolades. If you're Oscar Mulgrew, you're looking at George Holloway, you're looking at the fixtures that GBG Knights have to contest tomorrow and thinking you have an opportunity to score 3 goals across your remaining games. Will we see a potential tie as we saw last season? As already mentioned, Oscar Smedley leading the top assist, the Playmaker Award with 18, Jamil Khan and Oscar Mulgrew with 14 each. Just want to make sure that that does take into consideration the single one they have each in this fixture, as the officials signal for a substitute. It's going to be a double for West Bromwich Albion Dudley. On comes Jack Ebanks. Off goes Noah Harvey. Pace slowed ever so slightly as we approach the final few minutes. Dean, I want to get you to start to think about the process of player of the match. I'll ask you nearer the end. But overall, a really professional, pragmatic win for Teesside Steel, who now have a real grasp on that third place playoff position ahead of the final day of the season tomorrow. Just all their players have just stepped up significantly, and they really have become one of the most exciting sides in the country, and I encompass the Premiership in that as well. I think only West Brom can boast a better record, a better unbeaten record, having yet to suffer defeat in either the Cup or League thus far. But tomorrow they play AFC Bournemouth Warriors at 11:35 and Hull and East Yorkshire at 13:55. And if you are Oscar Mulgrew, looking to take that top goal scorer award, it's hard to look past that minus 86 goal difference of AFC Bournemouth Warriors. They've had real difficulty this season, but the resilience they've exhibited is beyond impressive. And already today, they've just shown that they want to end the season on a high. They will probably be part of that playoff process on June 14th. Be intriguing to see what names are in the hat from the various regional leagues we support across the country, as so many teams want to reach this level, can play National League football with the growing stature, visibility and awareness. Oscar Mulgrew has Luke Heenan in support. No real accuracy on that crossfield ball, so Jack Ebanks engages. Beyond one or two opportunities in that first half, Isaac Murray has had very little to do.
I mean, there's not a lot happened in the second half, to be fair. Owen Swift's had the best opportunities, hasn't he?
Yeah, he had an opportunity to on this left-hand side to squeeze the ball between Laura Evans and the post, but beyond that, I think they're just being professional. They're not risking too much. Had West Bromwich Albion Dudley got an early goal in this second, it changes the tie completely, and momentum would have shifted in favour of the Midlands-based side. Full-time on court B. Confirmation of that scoreline. A brilliant win for GBG Knights, who end the day on a high steel ground to make up on Muscle Warriors. And I think it's fair to say it's their title to lose. They can wrap it up tomorrow morning, but don't take anything away from how good GBG Knights have been across the entirety of the season. And it's almost certain that they will be a Premiership side in 25-26, and it is absolutely no less than they deserve. Fairly widely considered that they play the most attacking brand of football. As we tick over into additional time, Dean, your player of the match, if you would please.
So Teesside player, we seem to have mentioned him probably more than anybody else. And pointed out the quality of his performance. For me, it goes to Oscar Mulgrew. I think he started the process in terms of within the first minute. That really put them on the front foot. But we also recognised on commentary his defensive qualities as well. I think he's driven this game.
Very late opportunity for Dudley there.
So Oscar gets it for me. Congratulations, Oscar.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's indicative of the levels he's shown across the whole season, and he will most definitely be in contention for various awards and accolades come season's end. Whistle in the mouth of Caroline Goldsborough as we approach a minute over the regulation 20, or 40 in its entirety, and that is the full-time whistle, the last bout of action in game day 1 of game week 5 of the 24-25 Optegra Championship. I'll show you the live league standings before we leave you, so you can see how this result and the one on Court B influence overall standings. Muscle Warriors top of the table with 53 points, a 5-point buffer over Muscle Warriors. I think even a draw would be enough for them to wrap up the title against Manchester United. That one kicks off at 9:15 tomorrow on Court B. I'll be bringing you the commentary live. Teesside still have leapfrogged Villa, Rockets, Lions to that third place position, which of course results in a Premiership playoff against whoever finishes 10th in the Premiership, the top flight of power chair football in England. West Bromwich Albion, Dudley in 8th, but still can leapfrog some of the teams around them. And as we've mentioned time and time again, that the battle at the bottom just as compelling as that at the top. But thank you to all that have tuned in, to myself and Dean. We will be back tomorrow bright and early for the conclusion of the 24-25 National League Championship, proudly sponsored by Optegra.